Buckle up, traders. The stock market is teetering on the edge of chaos with the Middle East tension spiking oil prices, Trump's tariff threats shaking global trade, and the Fed's next move just days away. Will the S&P 500 soar to new highs or crash under pressure? In this video, I'm breaking down the critical supports and resistance levels, the economic data you can't ignore, and the top plays in this wild market. Don't miss out. Let's dive in. So, one of the key focuses for this week is the Fed rate decision, which is going to be happening June 17th to the 18th of 2025. The Federal Reserve is expected to hold the federal funds rate at 4.25 to 4.5%, a level maintained since March. Markets currently assign almost zero probability to a rate change at this meeting. What traders are watching, so the Fed's dot plot projections in the summary of economic projections, especially how many rate cuts are expected in 2025, will be a major focus overall. All eyes are on Federal Chair Jerome's conference, where he may provide insights on the economy, outlook, and policy path. Speeches from other Fed officials throughout the week will offer additional signals. So keep that in mind overall, and you can maybe make some plays, make a decent amount of money. And I'll be updating you guys over here on this channel with videos and shorts. So if you guys want to stay updated, just smash that sub button. So the overall broader market. So geopolitical risk, rising tensions with the Middle East, Israel, and Iran have led to volatile oil prices, making Fed comments on energy impacts particularly relevant. So inflation data saw for May CPI 2.4% year over year has eased immediate rate cut pressures, though tariffs and wage trends remain risk. Trump, like always, is pressuring Jerome for cuts. So President Trump has intensified pressure for a jumbo rate cut, but the Fed remains data driven and is unlikely to act prematurely. But overall, for this rate meeting, rate change is unlikely for this week. Expectations firmly on hold. Focus on dot plot and Fed projections for clues on future cuts. Jerome's statements are the central point for market interpretation. Momentum for rate cuts may build later in the year, September to December, if inflation cools further and growth softens. So, over the weekend, a lot of developments influenced the stock market, primarily driven by geopolitical tensions and macroeconomic concerns. Here's a summary and key news for you guys for next week and what to really expect. Geopolitical tensions impact markets. So, reports of escalating Middle East conflicts, particularly Iran's missile launches in response to Israel airstrikes on its nuclear facilities, rattled global markets. This led to a significant sell off on Friday, the S&P 500 dropping over 1%, Dow declined about 1.8%, and the Nasdaq falling 1.3%. Oil prices surged nearly 10% due to fears of supply disruptions, boosting energy and defense stocks, while airline and travel companies saw sharp declines because of the lack of flyings and stuff like that. So President Trump announced of a potential unilateral tariff rate hikes within weeks continued to create uncertainty. Bank executives, including JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, expressed cautious optimism about the economic impact of tariffs over the next few months, but concerns about trade tensions affecting foreign tourism to the US were noted. So market sentiment and volatility. So we see ongoing market volatility with the S&P 500 testing all-time highs, but facing risk from tariff-related developments in the ongoing war. Investors are closely monitoring U.S. and China trade talks and potential international trade offers, which could sway market direction. Good news and or bad news, just keep that on mind overall. We are retesting the highs again, but let's see how it opens up with all this news that happened over the weekend. There were a lot of strikes and honestly a lot of bad news overall. So we might open up with oil prices high, stocks low, and or maybe the opposite. So I just want to piggyback on the Federal Reserve meeting, June 17th to the 18th. The Federal Reserve next policy decision on June 18th is a focal point. Investors are seeking hints on interest rate paths amid concerns about the weakening labor market. Projected unemployment at 4.6% year end versus Fed's 4.4%, and persistent inflation, May CPI expected at 2.5 year over year, and a decision to hold rates steady is anticipated following the May job reports, which showed 139,000 jobs added and a steady 4.2% unemployment rate. So, not even gonna lie, with the ongoing war, it kind of overlooked the US China trade talks. So, let's talk a little bit about that. So, ongoing negotiations between the US and China following last week's London talks will be critical. Tariff outcomes could significantly impact market sentiment overall, especially for tech giants like Amazon and Alphabet, which have driven recent S&P 500 gains. So for next week, man, we got some things coming out. So we got the economic data release, producer price index, PPI, June 17th, expected to show plus 0.3% month over month and plus 2.4% year over year. Initial jobless claims, June 18th, a key indicator of labor market health with prior claims at 247,000. And we also have University of Michigan consumer sentiment, June 20th. Preliminary data expected to reflect consumer confidence amid tariff and inflation concerns. Previous was 50.7 versus 52.2 in May. So keep that in mind overall. Some other things you look at, man. I said this in yesterday's video. Yesterday's video, I also gave you guys plays and stocks to watch for the war. And we'll be coming out with a full video explaining it a little bit more as well. But Oracle is reaching all-time highs. And honestly, just look at this movement. It is going insane. So you can still play it to the upside. And or if we start selling off, and you see a bigger sell off, you can make a lot of money to the downside. But let's talk about oil because oil is spiking up because of the war. Energy and defense continued. Middle East tensions could keep oil prices volatile, supporting energy producers and defense stocks. And people are even saying that oil can get all the way up to like $100 a barrel, which is insane. So keep oil on your radar to the upside, especially if the war continues going on. Next, we're going to talk about is Tesla. So Tesla, Elon Musk robotaxi service should be launching June 22nd in Austin. It was supposed to launch June 12th, but we got delayed, and honestly we don't even know it's really going to get like launched in on the 22nd. So keep that in mind. If it gets like delayed again, can bring the stock down, but could drive volatility in Tesla shares, which regained ground last week after Musk and Trump spat. They kind of made up and they're kind of friends now. So yeah, man, I don't really understand all that. Next one, monitor gold prices, which are near all-time highs, as hedge against geopolitical and economic uncertainty. People are going into safe assets like gold and stuff like that. So keep gold on your radar overall. We have Bitcoin at $105,000. We're going to be looking at that a little bit later with some supports and resistance. But overall, for the stock market, man, before we get to our supports and resistance, some plays, the stock market faces a volatile week ahead with the Fed's interest rate decisions, US China trade developments, and geopolitical risk in focus. Investors should watch tech earnings, energy sector movements, and economic indicators like the CPI and PPI for directional cues. While the S&P 500 is near record highs, risk from tariffs and inflation could trigger sharp swings, and especially the ongoing war. So please stay updated. I'm going to try to make daily videos updating you guys and daily shorts to kind of keep you guys updated throughout the stock market day and just throughout the day overall. So I do recommend smashing that sub button, man, just being up to date and stuff like that. But man, let's get up to some supports and resistance and see if we can make some money this week. Oh my God, my SPY chart is messy. Let's get to the 5 minute time frame and give you guys some supports and resistance to watch for the SPY and other stocks, maybe making some potential plays. So honestly, it is Sunday, so market isn't really open. It's not really going to show you what the pre-market and or the after hours is going to look like. So I do recommend not really kind of just taking these into account for now. And then tomorrow's video, Monday, we're going to be doing it before the stock market open, and that's going to be better supports and resistance. But for now, we're going to just guess that's going to open up at the 597, which obviously with all the war things going on, we might not open at this level. So I'm going to give you guys some deep levels up and down. So to the upside, man, look at that 598.5, 600 level is going to be key. If we break past that 600 level, look at 601.5, 603.5, 605, and all the way up to that 607.5. You can break above that, look at 610. To the downside, man, look at that 596.5, 594.5, 592.5, and all the way down to that 590 level for the SPY. Imagine we open up below that. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we do. With that being said, man, Apple has been looking like an obvious sell-off. The WWDC wasn't so hype. AI was kind of behind, and they kind of just announced things on the new iOS, which isn't really too good news. Like maybe if we seen like a new phone, new MacBook or something insane, would have probably brought up the stock, but we didn't really see anything cool yet. So look at Apple to the downside for now. So that 195 is going to be first. A lot of people are selling out of Apple, especially long-term traders. So keep that in mind overall. So that 195, 193.5, 192, and that 190 level to the downside. Past that, look at 188 and 185. To the upside, if we do start buying somehow, look at that 197.5, 198, 200, 201.5, 202.5, and that 205 level to the upside for Apple. NVIDIA, man, NVIDIA has been holding up pretty strong, just kind of been up and down. We kind of been around that range of like that 140 to that 145 level. So watch both of these levels. If we break below that 140 level, look at 139.5, 138.5, 137.5, and that 135 level. If we break above that 145 level, look at 146.5, 148, and that 150 level for NVIDIA. Have your patience, honestly. And please, man, stay updated with the news because right now we're in that news driven market. Anything can drop at any second. So keep that in mind overall. Palantir, man, kind of like a defense stock, military stock. If we get included with this war, Palantir, you could probably see it to the upside. People might be investing into it. So for now, to the upside, look at that 138.5, 139.5, and that 140 flat. If you can break above that 140, look at 141.5 and 145. To the downside, look at 136.5, 135.5, 134, and all the way down to that 132.5 to that 130 level for Palantir. Please take your time. We had the Robo Taxi launch. It might bring a Tesla stock up. And some good news for this one, you could look at Elon Musk posting personally on X about any business ventures or anything that he's on that can move the stock. It did back in the day, and it still can now, especially since he's putting more time into Tesla overall. So to the upside, like at 130, 135, 140, 142.5, and that 150 level to the upside. To the downside, look at that 317.5, 310, 305, and that 300 level to the downside. If we start breaking down, look at the lows of like 273 to that 275 level for Tesla overall. Bitcoin, man, Bitcoin is moving okay, pretty decently. But honestly, man, look at that 100K to the downside if we do start selling off majorly. But some lows, it's going to be that 102.7 and that 104.250 thousand. So keep that on your radar overall. To the upside, look at 106.5, 107.750, and then 108.5, and all the way up to that 110 level once again. Some stocks to trade with Bitcoin is going to be MSTR, Coinbase, and a ticker IBIT, IBIT. It's basically just a Bitcoin ETF. It moved like I think it's like one of the fastest ETFs to reach like 70 or 65 or something like that. But if we go down to the options and we look at the options, just to go for June 27th, basically the bid is going to be 200 bucks or 195 and the ask is 200. And it's pretty cheap. You're not really risking too much money and you can make a decent amount of money off of IBIT if you guys do want to play Bitcoin overall. So I do recommend looking at that overall. And honestly, man, I do recommend looking at stocks. I gave you guys a lot of stocks yesterday. So honestly, those are stocks to trade during the war if you guys want to trade the war news. But one that I do recommend looking at is WTI. So honestly, look at just oil overall. You can look at some energy sectors, individual gas companies like Shell or something like that. But honestly, man, just have your patience with this. And honestly, good luck trading on Monday. Let me know what tickers you guys are looking at. Maybe I can include them in the next video, give you guys some supports and resistance and where the stock might be going. Smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time, and let's get some money.